Okay, by my clock it's 7 o'clock, and I'm sure a few people might join us as we go along. Hopefully some do anyway. I thought this might happen over the Easter weekend. Welcome to Teaching Literacy Assessment 2, and I know, Narinda, it is very early, but you'll be glad of it when we get to week 5, because if you're in the first group, you need to have your group ready to go, basically. So we need to really get organised for assessment 2, which is why it's early, and the academic suggests that we do it early so that we can get organised. So let's get on with our collaborate. First of all, I need to apologise for great. David, and you're an illustrator, I see, and a great question that you asked on the discussion board, and I'll talk a bit more about that later. Yeah, I just wanted to apologise for my flipped Collaborate. I've been having a terrible relationship with Collaborate. My computer doesn't agree with the PowerPoint and Collaborate, and it's just been awful. I've just spent an hour getting it right for tonight, so we've got all the slides organised. I have to work on my husband's and this one together to get it on there. But anyway, we're here now, so let's go. So, assessment 2 in a nutshell. Yeah, I know, I think I need to be a bit more IT savvy here with the Collaborates. Okay, so I'll talk about the groups in a minute when we get to the slide, okay? I will get there though. So in a nutshell, group discussion contributions. So basically this is all about working on the discussion board. You won't be submitting any formal essay or any formal report. The whole assessment will be you writing on the discussion board and me watching as it all happens, basically. As you are writing on there, I check every night and I take notes, put little notes beside everyone's name, and then I sum it all up at the end, give you a summary and a mark. So it's all about you and your contributions on the discussion board. And last time I did this, the students found this so valuable, and I found it valuable too. I think that it was amazing what the students came up with, and I think it prompted everyone to go and do extra research and find out about things that they don't know before. So I really think this is probably the most beneficial assessment that I have seen while working with Swinburne Online. So I think you're really lucky to be involved, and I'm really lucky because I get to see some great stuff from you guys. So let's go to the next one. So it is worth 25%, and it's ongoing through weeks 6 to 10. Okay? Alright, so it's looking at the weeks 5 to 10 really, in Module 2. Okay, and we're looking at a range of issues in the practices of teaching and assessment of English. Okay, so we need to think about all sorts of things within the literacy, within teaching English. Okay, so it's actually covering a lot of different areas of your teaching. So each week we'll be covering a different area. So the best thing about this is that we look at a discussion, we debate, and we work in a team. Now I could tell you I work in a team of 4 in my unit at school, and it's one of the most really valuable things that you can do. It's part of being a teacher. So in my team of 4, we plan together, we discuss our students together, we have well-being meetings with our team. So it is part of teaching. So you need to learn to work as a team, and that's what you'll be doing. So this just pretends, if you're in week 1 with your team, pretend that's your team at school and you'll be working with those people. So assessment overview, so it's all about discussion. Okay, so there's two components to this, and there's two separate marks. So the first one is working in a team, and you will get a team mark. So you're working together. Your whole team will get the same mark. So you really need to pull together and do the best for your team. And the second part of it is your ongoing participation through the other weeks. You'll be asked to participate at least 3 times in other discussions. Otherwise, this whole assessment doesn't work if people don't get themselves involved in the other weeks. If you just do your own week, that's worth 50%. So your individual mark will suffer. So you need to make sure that you participate in the other weeks as well. So the criteria, okay, showing us that you really understand the issues and practices related to teaching English in the primary classroom. So looking at the real classroom, really, what is it like? Showing that you really understand that. Putting some of your practicum ideas and things that you've seen in different places, use them. Use your research. Okay, showing that you can communicate your ideas and that you fully understand. So the way you present your ideas, so that it shows that you're understanding of the topic. Okay, and the effectiveness of your contributions. So you'll be asked to try and make people think more in terms of what you're talking about. So extend their thoughts. Ask questions. Show that you have a deep understanding. And of course, your professional language and literacy skills. This will be marked during the assessment. So you need to make sure that, as in with any academic writing, that you proofread. Are there any questions so far? Nope. Hold off to the end. Cool. Okie doke. So, teamwork. This part of the, yeah, it is pretty self-explanatory, this assessment, but yeah, I'm sure there'll be some questions. So part 1, teamwork. So working as a team, your entire team, as I said before, will be assessed on the process. I'll be on the sidelines. I am not allowed to hop into the discussion board, but what I do tend to do is on the front part of, on the front page of the board, I will comment on there. If I think you need a little bit of a push in one way, I'll put a little suggestion in. Or if you're getting off track, I might make a little suggestion there as well. Or I might even just put some encouragement because you're doing a great job. And the group work is worth 50%, as I said earlier. So in your team, you'll have 6 people. And each of those people have a different job to do. Okay, so what I've done, because our wiki in our DB is broken, it's not working, and the IT guys haven't managed to fix it yet, I have set up on our discussion boards an iframe. Now I noticed that Group 2 is working fine. Group 1 has had some trouble getting onto it, but I've redone it, and hopefully people are able to get on it now and be able to write directly on there. You shouldn't need to use the link, and you shouldn't need me to OK from Google Docs. So you should be able to write straight on there. So if you scroll down on the discussion board in Assessment 2, Group Organisation, you'll be able to put yourself next to a job in a group. Okay, and within your team you need to work out deadlines, and you need to work out how you'll communicate. What's the best method of communication for your team? You could use any method, really. You could use Google Docs, you could use email, you could use Facebook, whatever suits your whole team, but you need to work out one that suits you all. Okay, so I would look at, these ones can be a little bit confusing, so let's have a look at this side, contemporary English program. So we've been talking about that a lot, and it links directly to the assessment that we've just been doing. Okay, and having a look, how balanced is it? All right, so week 7, the teaching of reading. So that's what this week will be focusing on. Week 8, the teaching of spelling. And this one here is an interesting one, working with literary texts. So having a look at different texts that may be used within the schools, different reading schemes, classic work as opposed to contemporary, looking at online books as opposed to classic books, lots to talk about there. And this one here, I actually think this is my favourite one, assessing reading and writing. That one, I think there's a lot in there to work with. So adopting a role. Each person needs to adopt a role within your discussion group. Alright, so each person has a different function. One person within there may need to be keeping up momentum. So if you're good at keeping people going, keeping the conversation going, then you need to put yourself in that position. Someone else may form the structure, the diversity. So all within your group as a team, you need to keep your discussion going for the whole week. Keep people involved, keep people wanting to come back and check it, answer questions, and be so interested they want to write back onto the discussion boards. And I've noticed you guys already are doing that. You're already asking questions, you're already answering questions, you're already debating things within yourselves, amongst yourselves, and that's actually really great. And I can't wait to see you do this as an assessment. So I've got a little, oh that's not going to work, hang on. Here, a little, is that going to open? Hang on. No. It's just basically what I've got here is from, here we go, from the tips. And here we go, just working as a team. Make sure you fulfill your role. I'll just open it up a bit further. You are marked as a group. So you need to help each other if needed. So it's not an individual mark. You need to be helping each other. Keep to the topic. If the discussion goes off track, try and bring it back. No worries, Catherine. You can get a copy. They're on the discussion board. I put them on there today. So keep to the topic. And if you see one of your teammates seem to go off track, you either let them know, or just gently try and put it back on track. So you're helping each other as a team. Keep your posts short and to the point. Okay, the way that you're going to get responses. If you have a really, 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 really long post it kind of rambles on a bit, people are going to lose interest. They're not going to want to reply or read it. You need to reference all your material. Provide the summarizer, here's a little hint, with a list of every reference you use, so they can post that at the end, because there needs to be a reference list at the end. Use a variety of strategies to keep the conversation going. Questioning, examples, illustrations, etc. Now, you'll be marked on quality. Quality and quantity. So I'll be counting how many posts you put down, but most importantly, your posts need to have quality. They need to have meaning, and they need to be related to the topic, and they need to be important for the whole group discussion. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Any questions? Nope. So the first job, the director. Now the director's job, they are the first people to post on the discussion board on the very first day of your week. Last time I taught this, we decided that Sunday was the first day of the week, and then we stopped in the morning on Friday. I need to put this on the discussion board. Just thought of that then. So the first post was put on Sunday night, and then the last post by the summariser had to be put on by midday on Saturday. And that way you get Saturday night off and all of Sunday until the next director puts it on. So you need to introduce the discussion, lead the conversation. So you're the person who's going to make sure it doesn't go off track. If it starts to slow down, you're going to try and bring it back. Try and encourage your teammates to put their posts on. So basically, you're the leader, and you need to keep the discussions going. The connector. This is connecting to the discussions, connecting relevant readings and texts, any other experiences that you may have seen on practicums or have heard of, or stories in the media, things that connect to your subject. That's the connector. You're connecting the conversation to things that are outside of the actual learning materials, or you can actually include the learning materials, but sort of the outside experiences and readings. The questioners is a very important role. You need to ask at least 3 pertinent questions, relevant, keep them relevant and applicable, to challenge and extend discussion along the way. I've seen some people doing that really well already in the discussion board. I know we can do that really well. The resourcer. Now this role is you can add links from the computer. You can add books that are relevant. You can add references that are relevant. You might even know an activity that is relevant. A way of like teaching something, something that you've seen used in a school. So the resourcer is bringing in practical things for your discussion that is linked with your discussion. The illustrator. Now your role is to present at least 3 visual representations of the ideas being developed through discussion. So you're having a little bit of a go at this at the moment with your multimodal assessment. I've seen, last time I saw some really great visual representations. Some people actually did a summary up to where they were and used pictures of what had been said in the on the discussion board already. So the illustrator is basically looking at the discussion and providing pictures that go along with the discussion. They can be drawn by you, or they can be used from another source. If you use them from another source, you need to reference them. Now, David has taken on the illustrator role, and he asked the question on the discussion board, is he allowed to participate in the rest of the discussion if he's an illustrator? Of course he is. It is important, though, that you know what the rest of your team is going to be doing. Don't step on their toes, but if you have something extra to put in there that you think might be important, that may make the conversation even better, then go for it. Put it in there. Maybe discuss it with the person that you think should be putting that on in the first place. That might be a nice thing to do as part of the group. No, I don't think that you need to be particularly artistic. Maybe a little bit creative in your thoughts, in that, well, basically you've got to maybe think a little bit out the box. What visual representations can we make that connects to what we're talking about? So you don't necessarily have to draw the pictures. You could even create something on Word, for instance. You could create your own pictures. You could create a little graph or anything you want, really. It's just basically images. Now the summarizer, of course the summarizer can also talk during the discussion, but basically at the end of this discussion, give a summary of what occurred in the discussion. Look at the key points and what we have learnt in the key points. And I've added this because last time I did this, the summarizers decided they were going to provide the reference page at the end. Someone has to do it, so I've figured the summarizer is the best person to do that. So as you reference throughout your discussion board, when it's your turn, send the reference to the summarizer, whoever the summarizer is, so that they can collate it and make sure they have it at the end. I think that's probably the easiest way to do it. Okay, so as a team, you'll be responsible for the discussion for your chosen week. You'll draw on a wide range of professional literature. You will show your understanding of the Australian curriculum, which you should really be getting a good understanding by now, having looked at the first few weeks and using it in your first assessment if you've started. It's a shame that Easter's got in the way of some study, I guess. Now, you need to discuss your team roles. Okay, so within your team roles, oh no, now my mouse is packed up. Within your team roles, you need to extend, connect, and challenge the discussions and the participants. So as I said before, make the discussion interesting. Make people want to participate. Ask questions. Put things in there that can be a little, that could provide a bit of debate. So you need to be able to communicate your ideas and show that you really understand the topic. So it's a holistic rubric again, and by the time that you get to this, you would have worked with one already. So basically it means to get a credit, you need to be able to have ticked off all the things in the past. To be able to get a distinction, you need to be able to have ticked off all the things in the credit, and so on to the high distinction. So for your team to get a pass, you need to participate in the nominated week. Everybody has to participate. All roles are enacted across the week. Now sometimes there's not enough people to fill the team. I'm pretty sure there's going to be enough this time. We're fairly big groups. If there's not, one person can do 2 roles. So we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. So there has to be an initial posting to introduce the topic. So that will be the director. The links need to be put in. The questions. So everybody needs to do their job basically. Everybody needs to have done their job. Now, continuing on, you need to link to the Australian curriculum. Now that you need to be able to have provided readings and resources. The team proofreads all their work. Try and avoid spelling errors, and you need to have your work referenced. Working as a team to do this. Help each other out because you're all getting the same mark. As a credit. So each of your roles, again, is complete. Okay, with a little bit more sophistication. Again, you have your writing is concise and you use deliberate word choice. Even if you're writing on a discussion board, sometimes it feels like you're on Facebook or whatever. Make sure that you proofread your work and it is of an academic standard. I know sometimes we get a bit lax when we're on discussion board, and I do too. But this is an assessment, so you really have to work on writing there. So Narinda, sorry, I just saw your question there. What is that? What, even the people that question? I'm not sure. Can you expand on that question, please? So again, your referencing is good, and you've used a wide range of references. Yes, questions. If you have used any of anybody else's sources, it needs to be referenced. So that's really the bottom line. So, I mean, obviously you're going to pose your own question, but you may even lead into the question with a quote or an example. You'll have to reference that if you've used someone else's material. Okay, so again, a bit more sophistication for a distinction. You've done careful proofreading. This one here is an important one. Sensitivity for your audience. You've modelled consideration of the impact of choices in language and tone. So you've actually thought about your audience and what they need to hear. If someone says something on there and you completely disagree with them, you need to be gentle, basically. So you need to show consideration. So in your answer, you may have a debate with that person, but it will be gentle, polite, and considerate. I find in my team at school, we're always disagreeing on things. However, we manage it in a polite and professional way. And that's the sort of thing you've got to learn to work as a team with. And you've also got to learn to work with parents at school and other adults. So this is really good practice for that. So to get a high distinction, high level engagement with the ideas expressed by the discussion participants, going beyond acknowledging the viewpoint being expressed. So really taking it beyond just the average, making it really, really great. Here, your team really shows that they have a thorough understanding of the English in the primary classroom. And you've done all the things. You've questioned, you've illustrated, you've used a wide range of resources. Your discussion team has drawn out some debate. You've asked questions. You've really had an in-depth discussion, and you've actually created this for everyone to have. So here, there's very few errors, very few to none, I would expect, and you have made yourself really familiar with a lot of resources. You have shown thorough understanding with relevant and recent references. Okay, so your individual contribution, so this is also worth 50%. So there is no maximum or minimum word count for your individual contribution. I wouldn't make it too long. As I said, quality before quantity. Although I will count how many you do, and I would expect at least 3. More is better. but that's my minimum for. Last time we did this, I had another ELA with me, and that's what we agreed on as the minimum for a pass. Yes, that's 3 per week. And I will have written that down in my notes as we're going along. So yeah, a hint. If you leave it till the end of the week, others might have disengaged from it or be doing other things. So you actually are better to put your contribution at the start so that other people who are going to hop on can engage with your posts. If you can't get on to the end of the week, well, that's just the way it is. So you can, showing your engagement, you could put down your thoughts. The director for the week is going to present you with what it's going to be about, and even present an idea that people can engage with and respond to. So it could be that. You might even have your own thoughts on the topic and wish to present those. Doing some extra reading. So you might do some extra reading and find an extra resource. You are more than welcome to add extra resources or references when it's not your week. You can engage in conversations with other members. You can respond to their posts. You can look at the similarities and differences of your ideas, reinforce their ideas, or extend and challenge their thinking. So your individual posts, you need to show that you understand the Australian curriculum. You can weave points from other posts. So you might grab a point from someone's post and someone else's post, put them in your post, disagree, agree, extend. Okay, so that's what weaving means. You're taking bits from a few people's posts and you're weaving into your own. So you might say, David, that was, I agreed with blah, 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 but Bronwyn also says this, and I think there's room for both in blah, 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 whatever we're talking about. So you're going to extend the conversation through critical and creative thoughts. Challenge the thoughts of others. Don't always agree with everyone. Go with your own thoughts and your own feelings and challenge those thoughts. You need to show that you understand the current research on the topic and contemporary teaching practice. And you need to use references, and they need to be, you need to put in-text references in each one of your posts. Yes, it was, Catherine. On your discussion board in Assessment 2, I've put an iframe, and you can go in there and put yourself into a group. Alright, so for the individual, again, you need to be able to go past the pass to get to the credit, and it's exactly the same. That is what a holistic rubric is. So from a pass, as with the teamwork one, oh, excellent. So it's working fantastic. I don't know why that one didn't work. I did it exactly the same as the other one, but who knows? Technology. Having a big issue with it at the moment. Just group. I think it's the wrong David. Yeah, I think the other day. I think this David's in group 2, and David Lindsay is in group 1. Is that right, David? Not sure. Anyway, so we're going to be. You are in group 1, okay? Sorry, there's both huge groups. I did see David's group name in the group 1. You might need to scroll down. So, extending your word responses and demonstrate engagement with the topic, discussion questions. So basically, as it goes on, you're going to get more sophisticated when you get to the credit. Demonstrate your understanding of the Australian curriculum. Provide support for your contributions. Reference. Put in-text references in there. At the bottom, you can put your references properly in a reference list at the bottom of your post. Okay, again, make sure you proofread your work and be aware of your audience. Okay, be sensitive to other people's feelings. Provide evidence. So in text and then at the bottom, your reference list. Always put references in when you have not, when it's not your own work. Hang on, let's have a look at this. Yep, so the individual, this is the individual, you're responding to other groups. So when, in the week that you're not working with your group, that you're not presenting your topic, you're putting in at least 3 responses to the other groups. So that's worth 50% of your mark. So 50 is your team and 50% is your responses to the other groups. Does that make sense? Yeah, I did see you there, David. So in a credit, so going beyond single posts each week, which I think you should do at least 3 each week. How we access the work if they're using Google Doc. I've made Google Doc into an iframe. Or if you're working, if you decide to use Google Doc as a way to communicate, you need to give each other your Gmail address, and that way you can do it. Hopefully that's your answer, Tracy. I'm not sure if that's the question. So you need to have challenging points, and you need to have searched a wide variety of references, good word choice, and again, references. I'll have a look. I'll have to have a look at what's going on the discussion board later and get back to you on that. Alright, so you can draw on it for a distinction. I'm sorry, I'm getting distracted by the text. Again, a little bit more sophistication, as usual. Errors in spelling and punctuation need to be addressed. Sensitivity for your audience. And hopefully we're all aiming for a high distinction. You need to make a meaningful discussions each week. Weaving existing posts, giving creative and critical insights. Give original contributions. Think for yourself. Show that you are familiar with the current field of research. Use effective language. Okay, as always, use concise, logical writing and be sensitive to others. You support all of your statements with references. And there are no errors in referencing, spelling, grammar, or punctuation in your post. None. Okay. All right. Let's keep going. So, for assessment in both sections, your posts you make during Module 2, you need to maintain appropriate standards of academic writing and professional tone, as you will when you are teaching. You will always need to have a professional tone, so you may as well start to use it now. You need to use full sentences, correct spelling and grammar, There are no abbreviations, although I did say to someone today they could use ICT because that is a long one to put in there. And references to academic literature. Look beyond the internet. Be sensitive to your audience and use concise, logical writing. So there are some sites that you can go to have a look at what makes a good online discussion. So use those. It's a really good idea to use those, and I'm pretty sure I put those on the tips sheet, or there's this PowerPoint is in the discussion board as well. Now this assessment links directly to Assessment 3. In Assessment 3, you will need to get 3 resources, and you are allowed to use one of the resources from this assessment for your portfolio. So while you're doing it, even if you see things that you could possibly use for your portfolio, which will be about the topic that you are talking about on your discussion board. So in Assessment 3, you'll be required to choose the topic that you have been talking about on your discussion board. You will need to collate 3 different resources. So if you find some resources and you're not going to use them, keep them for Assessment 3 because you're only allowed to use one of the resources from Assessment 2. And keeping ideas and keeping a journal of things is a good idea for the future anyway. So on Blackboard, yep. Yeah, you're in Group 2. I thought you were, I see. Yeah, you're in Learning Group 2, but you're on Week, yeah, you're number 1. Okay, so look at the PDF. The marking, you need to be familiar with the rubric. Familiarize yourself with this. We have to use it. It is the rules. Looking at week 6 to 10 of the learning materials, do a lot of your own research. There's a lot of stuff out there. And the topics that you'll be covering, they're very interesting, and there's loads and loads and loads of stuff. Even you might find stuff that you've used on practicum or within the schools wherever you're working. Some people are working in schools already. Something that they've seen working. Utilise the Australian curriculum in English. Very important. And we're back to the start. Now, Catherine. Okay, so in your individual role, you're not part of that particular group. You're responding to and answering questions and coming up with your own ideas. So without the people responding, the discussion won't work. So there will be 6 people running the discussion, and you'll be responding and putting your own ideas in it. So they are organising everybody else who's part of the discussion. Okay, so if you wanted to respond with something, an example, for instance, and it is from a reference source, you need to put that in. Does that make sense? Feel free to jump on the mic if you want. Okay. Okay, so any other questions? Nothing? All right. Well, I'll be putting the recording up as soon as possible. Sometimes it takes different amounts of time to convert, so I'm hoping that it will be up by Friday, hopefully. Any questions? David's writing something. Oh, we've got a few people writing. Okie doke. Okay, yep. It can sound a little bit confusing, but it really is quite easy when you think about it. It's basically we're just running. Your team is running the discussion board for a week. Discussion, or do we need to wait? No. Do you mean when you're doing your individual posts? Because if you're working with your group, Narinder, you can discuss when you'll post it, be organised about when you'll post what, who's going to post what, discuss within yourselves. If you're responding or if you're doing your individual post, you can just jump in whenever you like. You might have your own idea that you'd like to present. You're free to do that. Okay, no worries, Jody. Yes, exactly. Interact with the audience. Any more questions? I mean, obviously there's discussion boards always there, or you can email me if you're stuck. Excellent. Good night, David. No worries, Janelle. See ya, Melissa. No worries, Oslam. Thanks, Bronwyn. Yeah, Tracy, it will get clearer. And once you start talking to your group, I think it'll start becoming clearer. Night, Jody. Yes, I think it'll be a bit of trial and error, but I'll be there to help. Night, Tracy.